Yes, please. One and seven, Ash.
So thank you for inviting me to this interesting seminar. In fact, as you said, it's a very vast subject to talk about Iranian revolution and Arab so-called revolutions, or rather uprisings. So I try to focus on one of the aspects of such a comparison, that is the cultural aspect of the social changes in our region. And I'm happy that you started with your talk about religion, so I will do your part in this. Yes, it wasn't difficult to pick up religion as a very obvious similarity between all public changes in Iran and Arab countries. So I'm going to talk a little bit, and you will be happy to hear it from the last speaker. I will be very short. I will talk about Islam and how it matters in Arab and Iranian revolutions. We are living days and years that will be remembered as a turning point in the history of our region. The popular uprisings in Arab countries have been about and have brought about change. This change was imaginable, but the time and the speed of it took us with surprise. The political regimes in Tunisia and Egypt changed partially, maybe not so much to be called a revolution by its classic definition. Libya and Yemen came next with yet unknown results. Bahraini uprising is a fire smoldering under the ashes. The changes we are talking about are characterized in internal issues and politics, such as democracy, the rights of women and the youth, end of totalitarianism, justice, economic prosperity, etc., as well as external issues, such as change in foreign policy towards more relative independence, nationalism, and you talked about that very well, and regional cooperation versus regional contestations manipulated by outsiders. 34 years ago, in 1979, Iranian people made their revolution in hope of reaching much the same goals under the leadership of Imam Khomeini, whose memory is celebrated in Iran every year in this month. Independence, freedom, Islamic Republic was the most widespread model of the revolution in Iran. There is much talk about whether or not Arab revolutionaries see the Iranian revolution as a model. It is hard to show strong evidence to prove it, but there is no doubt that these phenomena relate one to another. The immediate connection between these two phenomena is how the international actors look upon them. I'll come back to this later. It is generally admitted that belief and culture are the basis upon which people build their understanding of their surroundings. Belief and culture are then the motives of social behavior. Regardless of how we may see secularism, it is obvious that Islam affects the vision, the demands, and the behavior of people of the region, be them Muslim or not. Like any other school of thought, Islam is subject to various versions. Terms like fundamentalist, moderate, progressive, traditional, and more recently Iranian Islam, Turkish Islam, Saudi or Salafi Islam, are about varied readings of this religion. One cannot ignore the existence of differences caused by tribal and ethnic cultures either. However variously Islam is understood, all Muslims consider it being the takeoff basis and a part of, if not all of, the road toward good governance. The simple fact that Islamic parties have won the majority in Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, and Tunisia supports this assumption. In the recent history of the region, Iran has pioneered applying Islam to politics. There has been triumph as there has been defeat. Many important related theoretical struggles passed by even before this practical experience. There is also an important Arabic literature about how to rule an Islamic society. The experience of Arab states, or let's say the experience of Arab Islamic states, is however dated. I'm talking about Ottoman Empire, of course. Arab new states have also stepped onto the road Iran is still experiencing. There are many questions to answer. The role and share of different sources of knowledge in our interpretation of Islam, and in Islam-compatible policymaking, the dichotomy of rights versus duties, the relation between people and the state, the relations between Muslims and non-Muslims, the borders of religious-based solution in social and political administration. These are a few out of many. And these are common questions which Iranians, Egyptians, Iraqis, and other Muslims face, and we must find adequate answers to them. Nonetheless, better answers can be formulated if different nations exchange ideas about them, learn from each other's mistakes and successes, and introduce right, comprehensive solutions to the society's problems. Such an intellectual jihad, endeavor, will pave the road to regional integration and stability. But this won't be an easy task. There will be two big obstacles: the ignorance at home and the interests of external actors. The history shows that world politics has decided the so-called MENA region countries will serve best either stagnating under dictators or suffering from instability. The hegemon powers have favored Shah of Iran, Saddam Hussein of Iraq, and Mubarak of Egypt all the same. Once self-determination starts, they opt to ignite tensions and create crises. We witness the very same pattern in Libya and Syria today. To me, it is obvious that promoting extremism is the code of the game. Afghanistan serves an obvious example. As we talk about extremism as a major source of concern in our region today, a rapid creeping sectarianism is spreading out in Algeria. The extremist warriors shadow between Syria, North African and East African countries. The Shia-Sunni divide is made grown by Wahhabi and Salafi preachers from Persian Gulf to the Horn of Africa to the northwest of the continent. The situation in Syria is critical, and the international public opinion is deliberately kept unconscious about the situation in Libya. The American history, as well as the European experience, shows clearly that the road to peace, prosperity, and stability passes through regional understanding and cooperation. Such a road requires building bridges between minds of the scholars, not the least that of ordinary people of our nations. To summarize, once a government of people by people and for the people in a Muslim country rises, the decision makers have no choice but to consider Islam as a major determinant in their internal and external politics. Muslim politics is not all about Islam, but the majority's religion cannot be absent from the minds of politicians. There is not an old enough and rich experience of ruling a Muslim country based on people's beliefs in modern times, nor a coherent literature of how to do so. Muslim intellectuals in countries such as Iran, Turkey, Egypt, etc. need to get together in a synergy to reformulate an Islamic state who serves everybody in the region as well as our friends overseas. And with these rather short words, I will conclude in thanking you for organizing this seminar, and I hope that we will have more guests from our neighbors next time in this kind of discussions, and maybe the same discussions elsewhere in Stockholm or other countries, so that we can begin a chain of interaction and, as I called it, intellectual endeavor to come up with adequate answers to these questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Amir Shirkat, for your short expose. As a matter of fact, there are lots of questions we can ask. First of all, I raised some questions, and then we go to the public and ask the audience if they have any comment or questions. The three important points that you, characteristics or values that you mentioned, as a matter of fact, they were very important in the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Karama, that is dignity. It was Ayatollah Khomeini at that time he was not opposing the Shah. When he started opposing the Shah, he talked about the karama, the dignity of the Iranian people, because of Shah's relations, special relations with the US and other countries. And then justice, that is very important these days in the Arab Spring, in the countries, and also in Iranian case at that time, and still is very important. You mentioned the 2009 events, so it's very important still. And also freedom, which was, as Mr. Shirkat said, that was one of one component of the Iranian Revolution, about the freedom and that stuff. So it was very interesting to talk about these values and how these values are very important, and to contextualize, as Professor Brandl made very well, the societal, as a matter of fact, the demographic change and also other things, the economy. But still, we can talk about this and see why the Middle East, which was kind of stalled the society, was stopped in history. There were so many dictators around, and then suddenly happened change. We don't know the prospect of the change, but we see that there is a dramatic change. So it is very important. I don't think that the classic, the orthodox theories of political science, international relations can help us regarding this view. And this is the reason I said maybe we have to look, we have to go back and get rid of the secular social science, and then try to see what academically religion played a role. And Mr. Mirza Shirkat tried to pinpoint on that. And I like the idea that the intellectual endeavor is very important. To have intercultural relationships, to have people of all walks of life, different nations and different countries, talk to each other and understand each other more. That's very interesting. So I repeat my questions, and I'm looking for some answers to see. Yes, there are people who are talking about the relationship between the Islamic Revolution in Iran 1979 and the Arab uprisings or the Arab Spring. Even in the naming of these events, there are so many differences. In Iran, they say this is a kind of Islamic awakening, so the religious aspect is very important. And even inside Iran, there are some groups who say this is a kind of human awakening, not just Islamic, it's human awakening. And also in the region, we're talking about the Arabs, but the Arabs are very different. They are not a monolithic society. So Tunisia, in my understanding, it's very difficult to compare Tunisia with Yemen in terms of economic development and civil society and the way they live or whatever. So it's one theory. Maybe we don't have a catch-all theory that can serve us in this regard to understand all of this region. So let me repeat the question: how the religion is important or not, and what would be the future like in this area, and also ask Mr. Sheikhat about his proposal about kind of intellectual jihad or intellectual. So how is it possible? We are unfortunately we have so many radicals between in the Muslim society. So in different sects or different groups, and I don't think that they are ready to talk. So this is the reason, for example, why the United States and Western countries decided to invade Iraq or to invade Afghanistan, because they saw that the only way is to take over by force and then try to make maybe some developments, so they are also in a very shaky situation. Thank you.